GM, 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 GM. We are chilling out with some Yusuf Dyers in very so deep. Let me know if you are here. I want to hear from you guys. Yalla Bitcoin breakfast show coming right up. Eylon, Eylon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. There's like a lot of music.
There we go.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm just getting everyone in. Oh, Marissa's in as well. You guys are punctual. Yo.
I mean, it's on my calendar.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. No, usually these guys are very flaky in the, the like chronic spaces host and guest. They'll hop on a space there, and you guys are very professional. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the show. I'm just checking in with Mati. I want to see where he's at, and then we're gonna roll. GM, how are you guys doing?
Stressed as fuck. I'm like, there's so much stuff with the conference, like Jesus Christ. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's the first big conference we've had in this country since forever.
Yeah.
So, no pressure.
Thank you. Let's see, one sec.
Hey, Marissa.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you sorted out your tech issues. We can hear you guys. We all ready to go. Mati will join us in a minute. This is probably the most shell-shocking week of crypto in the history of crypto. Like, I feel like we're in a reset period now where all the wheels are coming off. We're going to discuss a little bit about Libra, obviously. We're going to get what you guys are up. The thing with these stories is when they attract so much mind share is that a lot of stuff happened, a lot of important stuff happening that isn't related to an Argentinian presidential rug gets ignored. So we want to talk about those things, give them the context they deserve, see what you guys have to say about Ethereum Foundation, about building block. We have a lot to cover. GM Eylon's a long time friend of the show. Marissa's your first time on, so maybe you can start us off with the GM. A little bit about yourself, how you feeling, in the midst of this crime season.
Oh, you're muted, Marissa.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. GM. Yeah, it's great to be here. Crazy time in the markets right now, but hoping to shed a bit more light on the builders who keep building through the wild times, and also chat a bit about what's going on in the markets.
Yeah, GM. Very nice to be here. Lovely to see Marissa. Lovely to see Dudu. I see Marissa more often than you. Than I see you, Dudu. You need to come to our office more often.
Where do you guys hang out? I feel like there's a Tel Aviv Nagila cabal that I'm not a part of.
It's just the Collider co-working space area, basically.
You guys have co-work? Is
It's
it
the
for
Collider cabal.
Yeah. But if you're building
like
something,
that.
you're welcome to come work from there. If you need to take a meeting in Tel Aviv, like, let me know.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm building I'm building a few little things on the side, cute little gimmicks. I mean, the AI is just a massive, productivity hack for me as like a non-developer. So I'm hoping to launch a little tool soon. It's a YouTube AI summarizer. So you just give it the YouTube URL and it downloads the transcript behind the scene and spits you out a nice summary. And then the next stage of that would be like create post. So you can go to YouTube, you can click on a video, get a summary, and then get 2 or 3 social posts for LinkedIn, for Twitter, for whatever, in that thing. And I built it all by myself. Like, I'm not a developer. I just ask Chris, mate, it's broken. Chat is broken. Chat error. Chat. And then, but I will take you up on that offer. And speaking of the Collider cabal, I want to start off with some good news because, God knows we need some in this country, in this industry. So maybe, tell us a little bit more about building blocks. I see that the main tickets have gone on sale. It's more of a dev focused, it's more of a dev focused extravaganza. But there are a lot of, I'm sure a lot of BD guys, a lot of guys from sales, a lot of founders are also going to be interested in attending. So, I want to hear from you kind of what you guys are cooking there.
So building blocks, I guess, is coming back to Tel Aviv after 1 year hiatus, obviously. And the conference, we're doing this, obviously, I'm Eylon from Collider, and we're doing this in collaboration with Starkware, with Phoenix, with Fireblocks, and with SSV. These are some of the guys who called up to the challenge when I told them about this insanity that I want to do again. And like as you said, I wouldn't say this is fully technical focused. It's builder focused. Anyone who's building in this space, anyone who's doing stuff, and this could be like marketers, BD, developers, researchers, but that's kind of like the focus. There's a bunch of people, a bunch of speakers coming from abroad. You can already see some of them on the website, and more will be uploaded in the next couple of days. We're
Hayden coming. Are you bringing Hayden to speak?
No, unfortunately not.
Why? That's that market maker. It reminds me of the time when Carolyn Ellison, she was talking about like, we don't do things like stop losses and that. You think like all these market makers are super sophisticated and they have like, all these high tech, but it's just crap. So it's a great focus on builders. Which speakers should we be excited about? Like, who's kind of some names that are going to be showing up there?
There's a few folks. Like, check the website out. I can say that Balaji will be speaking, which is kind of big and very, very exciting. And kind of like when I was talking to him about coming, we had like an hour conversation over the phone. He loves to talk, and he's incredible just in general. And he really values. Cool. He really values Israel. He really values this sort of the fact that Israel and India are kind of like very different in the evolving geopolitical landscape, and he really sees like that connection is something very imperative. And he might announce some things around that during the conference. And we have Amin Suleimani, he's a very good friend and founder of various different things in the space. He's going to be coming. We have Eva Bailin, who's one of the girls, essentially the girl who's running the Graph Foundation, and a few more people in the pipeline.
Balaji is going to be sick. Balaji is going to be awesome. I want to hear what he has to say. Especially around, the network state. Did you guys discuss the network state idea and all that?
It's all under the network state umbrella. I think people know that one of his big inspirations for the network state is like Herzl. If back then someone could write a book and have a vision about a state in a different area, now we can have this. We can have people organized through the internet and create essentially states, which will maybe later find a physical space. And it's just like very interesting. And Balaji, honestly, he's like probably the smartest person I've ever talked to. So that's that. What else? There's going to be like 800 people. We're doing this in the Jaffa port. It's like a really, really nice place. And yeah, I think like the entire Israeli community and kind of like the Jewish community abroad needs to have this place to come and chat and talk. And especially since the last time we had this, it was way smaller. And now the industry is so much bigger that, we have something very worthwhile to showcase, both for the Israeli like non-crypto tech community and then for the world. So yeah.
I mean, I'm very bullish on Balaji coming. I think we need some of that in this country. Like, he's thinking, he's libertarianism. Like, I saw that. I think it's like the network state for a lot of people. They're already living in the network state. Like those people that are traveling from Bali to Solana Temple to Dubai, and it's like you're not really attached to your national identity anymore. It's more you're defined by which coin you're a maxi of. Like, I'm a Solana guy, so I'm not an Indian or Japanese.
You could say coins are the new religion.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of false messiahs and the one true Satoshi Nakamoto, because every other coin but Bitcoin it's a religion. As I said like a couple of days ago, I'm very fascinated with cults. Like, I had it's a long story, but there was a famous religious cult that was, associated. The guy there was on the run, around the world, and somehow he landed up at my house. Don't ask how, in South Africa. And you just saw his cult followers streaming into the house. Like, we had to leave. Me and my brother had to leave because all the women were taking over our rooms and using it to change their kids. And I think that I've been fascinating with cults. And I
feel like there's a story there for another show.
There's an amazing story, but this is live, and I don't want to, I'm not Hayden Davis. I'm not going to implicate myself in anything on camera. But it's an interesting story. But the bottom line is that these cults, it starts off with hero worship, it's only us and no one else, and then it ends up with mass suicide when the leader just kind of disappoints everyone. So that's kind of but where were we? Oh, no, the nation state, the network state versus the nation state. GM to you, Mati. We were just hearing about Building Blocks Tel Aviv. Will you be coming to Building Blocks Tel Aviv?
I wish, man. I tried. Unfortunately, not this time. You guys have fun over there.
It's in a month, man. Align that so you can come. It's in a month, more than a month. But yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll do my best, man. I'll do my best.
We wanna I spoke to the guys from Selena, the old Selena, and they booked on Thursday night, but I was thinking maybe to do a cocktail hour the night before, also in the same area. So most people will already be there. It will be like a third event sort of thing for Building Blocks, on Wednesday evening. So that's maybe I can buy Balaji a tequila or two. That would be great. Pick that guy. I think as you mentioned, he's one of the smarter guys on the timeline. Mati, we were waiting for you before getting into the main course. We were just having a few appetizers, right? And the main course is a big juicy serving of scam with a side of idiocy and a little bit of insider trading to wash it all down. How are you digesting the last couple of days? What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the last couple of days. I mean, this has been building up for weeks and months, I suppose, if not years, really. I blame Gary Gensler mostly. You know what?
I agree.
Let's just put it out there and say this is all Gary's fault. That dirtbag basically sucked all the utility and usefulness out of coins, and people were had nothing left but a giant casino that made 0 sense.
I would say that, I mean, it's
Right.
not just Gary Gensler. He's kind of like maybe a puppet of like probably like Elizabeth Warren, but it's kind of like it was a multifaceted, multi-agency campaign from the previous administration to completely discredit this market. And then it was, this like Operation Choke Point 2.0 that people are talking about, which was like debanking people and not allowing crypto founders to even have bank accounts and stuff like that. And then pushing the only clarity around tokens is meme coins. Like there's no clarity around anything else, and that kind of like pushes the industry. And I mean, I'm kind of saying things that Ben Horowitz from A16Z has said like a few months ago, and I completely agree with that. I mean, that pushed us there. And I'll say a few more things. Is that I call it like the perfect shitstorm, because it's that happening, and then the Solana thing happening with them like looking at the most fundamental KPIs of volume or whatever MEV stuff is kind of like the things that they're looking at on the chain, and then them as an entity adopting this full-on casino and investing in so many companies and supporting many companies that are extracting value from like retail playing in this quote-unquote transparent casino. And I think that's how we got here right now. And it's, I don't know, I kind of feel like all the people in Solana have to do at least a bit of some soul searching and realize, just ask themselves, is this what this entire industry is meant to be? And I think, and we could talk about this, the interview with that guy at CoffeeZilla, he clearly indicates that he doesn't even think that there is actually anything being built here. The goal is to extract as much money as possible. Tokens don't have value. They will never have value. There is nothing being built here. And I think like many people actually think the same. And I mean, that's the problem. There are people who are building. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. There are lots of people who are building like actual things, lending protocols, DeFi, gaming, and all these things. And there are people who are like, fuck all this shit. Tokens are just to extract value. Yeah, anyway, sorry for the rant.
And it kind of gets drowned out by all the noise of like the pump, 100%. The dump. It's super distracting too. And I feel like it distracts builders from building what they really want to build and what they're focused on.
Yeah, and you kind of weigh them, right? Like, I don't know, look at the graph, right? It's a company, I mean, full disclosure, they're a portfolio company, but they're doing stuff, they're being traded, right? And then there's like a meme coin who reaches, they've been operating for like 7 years, right? And now there's a meme coin who's launched last week, and now it's the same market cap. And then you say, oh, are we measuring this? Are these oranges and oranges? Are we measuring them on the same thing together? And like, I mean, they're both tokens. And yeah, it just distracts and really, really harms people who are actually building. Like, why would I build for 7 years if someone could launch a shit coin? And
it makes you question your values, like as a builder, like, or will I actually be rewarded for all this effort that I'm putting in? And I think like working in crypto has really changed my perspective on like what is money, as just, it's more of a concept, because like you said, money and value can just be created overnight, but is it really worth something at the end of the day?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had my share of like quote unquote like opportunities to go and pump stuff or scam shit, and like I'm not really interested in that. And I'm not like wealthy. I don't think I mean, I cannot retire or anything. But I mean, I don't know. I would rather have my morals and like staying for the long term in the space and build stuff that are actually useful than like pump and dumping stuff. So.
Yeah, like I mean, I can't stress enough how important it is. Like, some of these guys might have a comeback, but more often than not, like, even if the plebs that have one Solana to throw around on meme coins might forget, but the real guys won't forget. So if you screw people over in the space, I mean, crypto is just too small a world to get away with like repetitive. It's game theory.
What are you talking about? That Hayek dude just did Melania coin. He was on the back of the Melania coin. He ran right onto the Malay coin. Come on, dude. It's not.
I actually disagree here.
The issue is okay. I'm sorry. The technology is not the problem. Okay, it's the psychology. What happens is that people end up, they feel like they're in this casino, and then they start worshiping guys like this who can flip a coin. Instead of like, oh, you ripped a bunch of people off. Oh, wow, you're so cool. And I want to follow you now. And I want to be just like you because you made a lot of money in a very short amount of time. and they don't realize that, you know, them following that person is not going to make them rich; it's going to make them poor. And let's be very clear. The issue here is that we didn't set expectations properly. Me and you and you and you, we didn't come in and say, "Hey, everybody," and because like you can't make 10x in a night. It's not a realistic expectation, and that's what people come in and that they think that they're going to turn $100 into $1 million in 6 months, and they like think that they're going to retire their entire bloodline this bull cycle because you know that's what they've seen on TV, that's what they've heard in the news, and they've heard the stories of this person who bought a meme coin, and they don't really think about, you know, the hundreds of thousands of people that lose a lot of money along the way, which are, you know, the people that are required to lose in order for somebody else to win when you're playing a zero-sum game that has zero value creation. So the problem here is, first of all, we didn't build stuff that's good enough to retain and build value, and second of all, when people are coming in, we didn't give them that expectation. Actually, where did the most users come in lately? You know, is from Trump coin. So like literally, we're this is us failing in a big way, and I think that we got to step up and show people like literally what this market can be, and we need to lead by example in order to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's kind of wishful thinking though for people to change. And I mean, there's like a bunch of discussions on Twitter about this, and like
it has to. There's no other way. It can't continue like this. It cannot.
I mean, I mean, I don't
more
think,
ridiculous than it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I mean,
be
the only
careful
way
what you
for
wish
this to
for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I remember saying to people, like, remember the previous bull market? It was so retarded with NFTs and stuff, and I remember saying, like, you know, a year and a half ago, this bull market is going to be so much stupider on so many different levels. And I mean, God damn it! I mean, I'll find like the conversations, but I mean, it's
Don't
it's
you
that.
hate it when you're right?
No, but I mean that it's kind of like everything is frenzied, but like on a way higher level. And I think there are two things here. Like, one, I agree with you. We have a social problem. Like, you want to say, okay, we cannot change the technology. The technology is neutral, so let's use the social layer to, you know, push out these people. But that is never what happens. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say here something controversial. Andre Cronje, right? He's a serial scammer, serial grifter, and then he keeps coming back, and then people keep coming and following whatever he does.
Why did they do that?
Because he's a builder.
Wait, this is a question. This is a question. Like, Andre Cronje is a serial scammer. Like, Yearn Finance, was that a scam? Like, what makes you say that the scam?
So maybe that's the only one.
DeFi products.
That's the only one that wasn't. But he realized what he made there. He realized how much he didn't make money off of that, and then he went on a rampage of launching several things, extracting between, you know, $5 and $15 million from each one of them, and he did like over 3-4 times basically. And I mean, this is kind of a quote unquote like well documented. And then he has the audacity to say that he's leaving because DeFi is like whatever. So anyway, there are many such cases. There are many people who are like that, and we just like keep venerating them, right? And we keep, you know, liking them and putting them on a pedestal. As
well as the KOLs, I mean, for all intents and purposes, there are people like who have millions of followers out there who have zero background in finance, zero understanding of market dynamics, or like actual qualifications other than editing a video. Okay, I don't get it, and I don't understand why like somebody can go and do something like shilling Terra Luna, which on the face of it, if anybody like with, you know, my team took a look at it, opened it up and go, hey guys, this is a Ponzi scheme, you know, and we told our followers, you should not buy this coin. Whereas there are other people who actually literally, you know, invested in it millions, and then they got all of their followers to go in, and then like the thing blows up, and then they're like, okay, well, all right, Mr. Paul, what's next? Like, why are you still following that guy? Don't listen to a word he says. He's discredited himself by giving you this dog crap.
So I want to go back. I have to go back to Andre and Yearn, because that was like once I think the problem with the financial nihilism, which is where people are, as you mentioned, like governance tokens, Uniswap, Compound, before they turn fee switch on. How many people actually participate in governance? So it's a token that is loosely attached to the hype generated by. There wasn't any revenue, cash flows. It's not like a stock. It's not like stocks have all laws around them. If you work in a public company, you have a blackout period where you can't trade during that period. Otherwise it's considered insider information. You have disclosure laws. You have all those laws. We don't. Crypto doesn't have that. And you detach with utility tokens the revenue generating from the asset. So most utility tokens are just governance or some general hype. So you've created a situation where people taking it to the far extreme, and they're saying, okay, there's no point in any of these tokens really. But none of these tokens really have value. I'm being a little bit extreme, but that's kind of the argument over there. And what we need is the answer is no.
Because there was no framework for them to have value.
That Hayek missed on that interview.
The framework.
It's very simple. He went as far as he said Bitcoin doesn't even have a value. And if you go to that, if we're on this slippery slope already, like where does the dollar have value? Like, okay, no money has value. Okay, if you take a chimpanzee and you give him a choice between $100 bill and a banana, guess which one he's choosing? Every single time. Okay, money is only a construct that we humans have a shared hallucination that it actually has value, and that's true for all money. But does that mean that money doesn't have value? No, it doesn't. We actually built it in such a way that a person contributing their time, their effort, their intellectual property can accrue this value and store it in such a way that they can then use it at a later time. That means that somebody who's contributing to society, and this is the basic fundamentals of capitalism. But then what ends up happening is that somewhere along the way, we went wrong, okay, and we made it so that somebody who's got some influence, okay, and that influence, instead of now generating likes on a page, can now actually generate buy pressure on a coin. And I don't know, that is the exact dynamic that is broken down, because why does the influence translate into buy pressure?
But I don't think you can hate the player on that. That's more of the game that we've created. I mean, we as society are rewarding those creators.
I love Javier Milei. I think that he's completely innocent of this. I don't think that he's like a scammer, by the way. All he did was retweet something. Literally, the dude.
Come on, that's a little bit.
Shut up for a second and listen, Dudu. Okay. Javier Milei has done nothing but good in this world since coming to office. He's taken Argentina from a crummy kleptocracy, which was in a freaking deep dark hole, and brought it out by introducing the principles of Milton Friedman and some extremely good economic principles. Okay, and the way that he's done this is basically by reducing government, reducing regulation, and which inherently increases prosperity and reduces corruption. And you cannot argue with these facts, okay? And to say that he would just throw that all away, yes, for something as paltry as money, like I have a hard time swallowing that pill, okay? So now what actually happened there? I want to tell you, it's very simple. He is a politician. He is supporting his country, okay? He set up a program in which people are able to join accelerators in order to tokenize things and create startups that would have a positive impact on Argentina. These fuckers infiltrated that program, okay? He doesn't know about the tokenomics. He doesn't know about the dev side. He knows that these guys in this program. He shook his hand one time, okay? And the guy comes to him and says, "Hey, my coin is launching. Can you just give us a retweet?" Why the fuck wouldn't you retweet it? I would have retweeted it. I mean, I would have done a little bit more homework because I know the fucking kind of shit that goes down. But Milei doesn't. He's never been in that situation, right? And then as soon as he understood that things went wrong, he unretweeted. You guys are going to give him crap for that, for unretweeting something that he realized was a scam after he retweeted it? Come on, guys.
I don't know. I think it's very, very premature to completely absolve him. I think, you know, we can live in a world of nuance.
But it's not premature to set up our South Park rabble and say, this guy's a freaking crook, and put his fucking face on Sam Bankman-Fried 1,000 times over the internet.
That was a funny
People should. You're right. If we're reserving judgment, innocent until proven guilty, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that about everyone, except for Hayden, because he went on the stream and actually
he went and just like Sam Bankman-Fried, he told the whole world what he did and how he did it, and he is a crook. Yes, clearly.
I want to move to something else, because, you know, along with all of Hayden's, you know, qualities, his massive shoulders and his massive market making account, he also had another immense quality, and that was his ability to bring ETH back from the dead. Right. So ever since the Libra scandal, Sol ETH is looking good. We have Marissa here from the Ethereum Foundation. Obviously, Solana built itself as a casino and is now paying the price. Ethereum took a little bit of a different track. How do you see the ramifications of this crime season on Solana? How do you see it impacting or having a sort of a secondary effect on the Ethereum?
Yeah, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, that I think the builders will stay building what they truly believe in. And I think Solana has heavily associated itself with meme coins and a lot of those things that are quite ephemeral. Whereas Ethereum has these very long roadmaps. You could argue maybe sometimes these roadmaps are quite long, and maybe there is like a bit more of a balance in the middle of like shipping things over a like 6 to 12 month period. But we do have a lot of initiatives like that as well. And I think that we've just stayed focused on building what we can. And I also know that like we are taking notice of the things that actually have user traction, and like what has users, like Polymarket, Pump.Fun has users. Whether or not that's sustainable is another question. But I do think they've like built something that actually like catches on.
It's like
so
Vegas.
We are taking.
Is Vegas sustainable?
I mean, apparently, yeah. I mean, Vegas has been going on for years. So I think that like we've taken notice of these things, and we want to build the underlying infrastructure that enables projects like that to succeed. Yeah, and by projects like that, I mean like more general, like user traction, not necessarily like meme tokens, but just like things that like your everyday friend.
Traction, like you know, I want to get into meat of it, because you know Eylon also investing and quite one of the Ethereum bulls in our community. You know, we have the Solana boys are being a little more quiet these days. You know, and I want to get into a few of the things. The first one is when you mentioned like onboarding users. You know, there's a big debate around, you know, L2 scaling versus layer 1 scaling. Obviously, you know, the way I see it is like all the ETH L2s are that they might be good for Ethereum as a technology, but as a token, they directly compete with ETH, because they're charging for security in Arbitrum or in, you know, Pole token or in Linear when they launch a token or whatever. The L2 tokens become like, you know, their own kind of infrastructure, and they have to pay ETH for L1 security. Whereas on Solana, you know, the L1 scaling has its plus and minuses as well. So how do you view that in your eyes? I mean, I'll start with you, Marissa, but you know, Eylon, Mati, I'd also want to get your take on that.
I just realized you're wearing a bathrobe, dude. That is so boss.
It's not a bathrobe, bro. It's a fluff. It's my fluff jacket.
Look, I'm gonna show you what
I fully wear this outdoors to fetch my kid. You know, to go to the shul, to go to the gym. Like it's a fully.
Okay. You're doing the Rocky Balboa thing. That's cool. Yeah. Look, let me show you the problem here. Share my screen here. Okay. Actually, what Solana has done is it has proven itself too good. Okay, too good to be true. First of all, the way that it's holding up under immense transactions. I mean, you all used to like get on Solana for like going down randomly for no reason. These days, it doesn't do that as much. It does do it sometimes, but it overall has shown extreme like stability under extreme conditions with extremely low transaction fees, even though the activity is spiking. And that, I want to say, like, is something commendable. If you would have told me, like, you know, a year or two ago that Solana would be like taking over the market, I
Wait,
would just
Judy, we're seeing you trading, you know? We see your Coinbase wallet.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So this is my burner wallet for Phantom. Okay. So here's what happens when you hit the swap button. Okay. Look, you can trade any coin for any other coin very simply, in just a matter of seconds with almost no fees. Okay. This is what's happened, and this is why they have cheaters on Solana as well, because somebody comes in, they hear, oh, this interesting new coin is happening. Let me go ahead and paste that address in here, and as soon as they do that, you know, it basically the program asks them, like, which other coin do you want to sacrifice over here? Right? So you no longer have anybody who can hold for any period of time, because as soon as they hear about the next new shiny thing, they're automatically being prompted to ditch the old shiny thing that they saw last week. And this is why I feel like it's just the technology has progressed to a point where it's no longer convenient and no longer possible for anybody that doesn't have extremely good grounding in like what is it sincerity and self discipline. They cannot hold for a period of time. I mean, at least, you know, like on other chains, I mean, it's a process to like sell a coin.
So
it's not.
You're saying the bad UX of certain other wallets may actually be helping the end user.
Yes, I believe so. It actually is, and one of the reasons that that online brokers, okay, forex brokers, like, they've gamified it, right? They've like made it so easy for somebody to come in and take extra leverage, basically give somebody enough rope to hang themselves, because they know, or they don't really care, is that the broker makes more money when the user makes more leverage. Yes, he's going to lose his money faster. It's not what's in the best interest of the customer, but it certainly is what's in the best interest of the broker and of the of the system at large. And it's one of the things.
One caveat, I think, with liquidation, it's sort of like at some point you burn. You know what I'm saying? If your customers keep making money, it's an endless repetitive game. But if your customers at some point get liquidated, then they're going to stop being your customers.
Right. No, but it's a casino, man. Like, you know, people go and fill out the scratch cards. They only lose money. It's the same thing.
That's the difference between the first broker I worked at and eToro. eToro figured out a way to increase the user's profitability by giving them, first of all, the copy trader, so that new users could actually, you know, get involved and you know, not have to face the bear markets themselves. They could maybe like piggyback off somebody who had a bit more experience. But second of all was the way that they set up the equity in a way that, first of all, users weren't over leveraging themselves, and they would say, like, okay, you have $1,000 in your account, your stop loss is at $800, so you only have $200 left to play with. Whereas the other brokers would all say, okay, you can set your stop loss at $1 million. It doesn't matter because you're never going to survive anyways, and just basically throw you to the wolves. So the broker, in you know, if you're thinking like a rational person, right, you would say, like, the broker should say to themselves, well, if I keep the customer for longer, then, you know, I'm going to make more money in the long term. But brokers don't think like that. If you have a customer with $100, actually the broker that's going to make the most money is a B-book broker, which I did actually work at for a few months until I realized what the fuck they were doing and got the hell out of that scam hole. But basically what they do is they operate like a casino. A customer deposits $1,000. They put the $1,000 in their pocket. They give them a play account where they know that they're going to lose their money anyways. You know, and then if they make a withdrawal down the line, we'll worry about that at the time. And usually don't process the withdrawal on time or give the customer ample time to continue playing with their money until they lose it. So that broker, that B-book broker, is going to be making a lot more per customer than the honest broker will in 10 years. Okay. So an honest broker who's charging a fair rate on that $1,000, you know, over the course of a decade, you know, they may make that $1,000 back. But they also have to pay for customer service reps and, fully compliant, all this compliance stuff, which is also, overhead that you have to worry about. So which one is making more money? Well, only the ones that can scale up to millions and millions of users. But Robinhood, I think, like, this is the gamification that's attracting people, and it's the gamification that, like, they don't necessarily care if their customers losing money or are making money. As we just recently, to draw a parallel into the pharma world, right? We just learned that hospitals are intentionally keeping people sick rather than curing them, or pharmaceutical companies like, we could cure this, but we're making so much money on people staying on this insulin. Why would we want to get them off of it? So that's basically what happens in the financial world all the time, every single day. It's sick, and I think that we have a serious shot at actually fixing it within the next year or so, utilizing AI and blockchain in harmony. But hope so.
How did I ask a question about layer 2 and we got back to crime? That's an interesting one.
It's crime season. You can't talk about layer 2s.
No, I want to get Marissa's take on that, especially because I think it's a great time for Ethereum to try and bring on some users, because people are over Solana, not just Solana the chain. Solana is the culture, the narrative, the ecosystem, and people are looking for something fresh, like the casino cults and social trading and all of that. As you mentioned, copy trading. Like, copy tradings are getting wrecked. Like, the influencers are they're trading with, have a side wallet ready, right? And then they wreck their copy traders. They buy something and instantly dump from a side wallet and just wreck their copy traders. So in the absence of that, comes a time for something else. But is Ethereum ready for the scaling challenges that come with this kind of immense activity on chain?
Yeah, I think that is something that we're really actively thinking about, is how we can scale L2s. And we see them, firstly, as like very complementary to Ethereum. We don't see them as much as a threat. We see them as something that we will need to enable more users to come on chain, because at the end of the day, like, the average new user isn't going to first onboard to Ethereum. I think, for example, Base, like Coinbase's chain, has done an excellent job at onboarding new users. That is like the chain that my friends that don't know anything about crypto, like, they have a Coinbase wallet, they've like transacted on Base, and they've done a great job, especially through their on-chain summer initiatives, at like onboarding a bunch of new users through like easy to understand things. And and I think, like, their culture is very much around builder culture. They do, like, they reward their builders a lot. They like reward shipping and not shilling. And so, yeah, we work with their team, and we've kind of really been thinking a lot more about how, like, what are the protocol level things that we need in the future in order to scale layer 2s, and have that, like, because I think Ethereum's capacity right now isn't enough that we could onboard the next billion users, for example. So we need layer 2s in order to do that.
So, like, $250 gas fees for swaps on mainnet, that's not going anywhere. Like, when obviously not now, but I'm talking about when inshallah, when the normies come back and start aping stuff on Ethereum.
So I think in general, like, there's always a trade-off, right? There's a trilemma, right? And Solana is basically there's like a decentralization, security, and scalability, right? And Solana is basically given up on decentralization. It's only running in dedicated, what do you call it? Like data, like server farms, and that's how they achieve so much throughput and so much scalability. And Ethereum is taking a different path, right? Like, let's not give up on so much decentralization. There's like some really weird noise. Maybe it's from you? I don't know.
I mute when I'm not talking, not from me.
Yeah. So anyway, my point to say is that Ethereum has decided to go through a different route, which is like with the L2s. And I think the biggest sacrifice that we're seeing here, right? It scales. There is still some still some things that we're giving up on in decentralization, at least right now, as rollups are not like fully sovereign or even base rollups and stuff like that. But I think the key challenge that we have is the interoperability between all these chains, and I think, I mean, this has come like many times. When I go into a website, I don't care if it's on AWS or GCP or Azure, and like this is the end goal that we're all thriving for. And this will happen. I think Marissa's team are very much on it, like with account abstraction and the ability for you to have an account, have a name for it, right? Like an ENS name that like is applied through all of the different L2s. You'll be able to move funds. You'll be able to do all these things. And with a user experience of what an L1 is right now. There's going to be a lot of handling in the back end, but I guarantee you, like there are many different teams, even in Israel, working on sort of like thinking about this problem, and we will. There's going to be like very good solutions.
And beyond just account abstraction, my team also works on chain abstraction. So abstracting away the concept of chains from the user, because at the end of the day, the vision is that the user won't know what chain they're on. They just go to an app and they're like, cool app, let me use this application. And they like click transact, and in the background, like a wallet is like spun up for them and they're transacting on chain without actually knowing what chain they're on. So there's like a lot of things that go into that. Like chain specific addresses, like bridges, etc. Things that like my team is like very actively thinking about.
I would love to hear a bit more about this because it's frustrating as heck. And I'm happy to show off my screen again here, but let me show you one thing that I did find about Base in particular that was particularly annoying is that I have, look at this, I have Ethereum in here twice. You know, here is Ethereum on the Ethereum network, and here is the Ethereum on Base network. And like, why are they different? And now if I want to move this $3 into this $52, you know what kind of hoops I have to jump through? It's really, it's not as easy as like dragging and dropping. I promise you that. And actually, like, and how do you know the difference? Look, this one has a little tiny.
Yes, 100%. You're right.
And this one has a little tiny Ethereum. Is one of the things that we're trying to that we're actually having the roadmap to facilitate with Quora as well. But our solution isn't. I'd like to hear more about your solution. But ours is just let the AI handle it. Give the user, say you have $60 worth of Ethereum in your wallet, and on the back end, the AI knows which Ethereum it is. You can ask it if you want to, but the end user doesn't really need to think about which chain the Ethereum is on. They just know. With your solution is account abstraction. Let's say I have an unstoppable domains, right? That I purchased, maybe a .quantum or something like that. Would you then be able to apply that top level domain to all of your wallets, or how does that work?
You mean like applying the ETH balance across all the chains? Is that what you mean? Or the unstoppable domain on every chain? Like, let's say you have the
like if I wanted that to be my wallet address for all of my different chains and stuff like that. And
yeah, you can do that right now, by the way.
Well, technically you have to because there's the .base.eth as well. Or like Base has their own specific ENS domain that you have to get separately. It doesn't all apply. That is something that we're thinking about. I think we are really thinking about how to use like ENS domains or like identity in like chain specific addresses. We don't know, like we haven't fully decided yet if we're using ENS domains, DID, et cetera. It's like conversations that we're having with a lot of the L2s in the ecosystem.
Well, as a TLD provider and you know, somebody as partners with Unstoppable, I would appreciate it if you guys did use the TLDs. That would be super helpful for us. And then when we go to ICANN and make .quantum, you know, like type in a .quantum URL and you get to the web page, then it'll just be like ultimate. You know, you have your digital real estate all mapped out for you.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's something that we're thinking about, like kind of weighing the pros and cons of a lot of different approaches. But we do want to make like chain specific addresses because I think like that's a really easy mistake for a new user to make is they accidentally send money to the wrong, like an address that on a wrong chain. So we want to make unique and specific addresses for each chain. So yeah, so like that's one of the like improvements that we're thinking about for chain abstraction. And there's like several companies working on how to abstract like balances across chain. It's something that I had done previously when I had a DeFi investment startup that we built an internal system for basically coalescing all your balances across chains. You could do it in a very simple way with like mappings, for example, but as the number of chains and tokens grows, that becomes like unsustainable. So like the thought is like, how do you do that? But ultimately you need some type of registry that is maintained and hopefully in a decentralized way.
Yeah,
I'm very bullish on chain abstraction because I've had a few unfortunate incidents where you're sending to the wrong, 0x address, you're sending on Base or to Ethereum, and oops, the money you sent wasn't to your own self-managed account on the wrong chain. It was to an exchange account on the wrong chain. And what do you know? They can't get it out for you, even though it's the same. Like they have that wallet, they have the keys. It's just a crazy world that we live in. And if Mati and I and you and Marissa and Eylon and all of us can't have a trouble distinguishing those little icons of the chain, then what chance does my grandmother stand of not sending her funds to the wrong place?
Yeah, so I mean, I want to say that in my opinion, like this, all of this should be completely abstracted. Like this whole wallet experience should be abstracted. You shouldn't even know what optimism or Base or Arbitrum is. And I think in the general scheme of things, Ethereum has like two paths for scaling that is looking at. One is the Ethereum L1 becomes only a settlement layer, and that's where there's like a billion different L2s, and they're all committing essentially their settlement to L2s, and then most of the activity is done on only L2s. And then you can do really, really interesting things in the sequencer. If the sequencers can themselves, between the L2s, can speak to each other, you'll be able to fluidly essentially move funds from all of these L2s without like much security risk. So that's kind of like one path. There's another path that says that no, everything should be still on Ethereum. Execution still happens on Ethereum. And then you have a camp of talking about like Base rollups or native rollups, even where like every update to the sub chain or the sub state is updated in the L2. And so like there are like various different trade-offs, but yeah.
Well, which one are we in right now, Eylon?
It depends who you ask.
Yeah, if you ask the Ethereum Foundation, we're definitely leaning more, I would say, on the second side. Justin Drake has rolled out his plan for based in native rollups, and that's something that we're talking and thinking a lot about.
Yeah.
What about? Can you please explain that? Because I have some sort of a clue, but I don't think a lot of people have a clue. What do you mean by sequences? And like, how do they work in an L2? What role do they play? And are they decentralized or not?
None of them are decentralized right now, just for context. There are a few companies like Espresso among them that wants to create a decentralized sequencer for L2s. But you can think about this as it's a single validator of the chain. Like Base has their own sequencer. So in Base, like people send transactions.
Sequencer is a device or application software that can record, edit, or play back music. I don't think that's what you guys are referring to. So maybe define the term, please.
It's a transaction sequencer. I guess that's the term. It's a single.
It literally puts the transactions in a sequence. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's. So it's a single validator. The Base chain has a single validator. It's a server right now. Arbitrum has something like a bit more complex than that. But let's take the simplest case. Base is a single sequencer. Imagine it takes like all the transactions that people are doing on Base, and then every 10 blocks on Base, it commits the state to Ethereum. So it's still decentralized. It's still sort of like immutable, and money can't be stolen because it is committed on chain. But you could be censored from the sequencer. For example, if Base it blacklists your address like will not be able to transact on Base. You can, I mean, there are ways to sort of like force inclusion.
Forced inclusion, yeah.
Yeah. And like force in the L1, to send your money back out. But yeah, that's kind of the state of things right now.
Okay, I want to. We're coming to the end of the show. I want to kind of end off with a little something, you know, that really essential and necessary, and that is like, you know, I want to take a quick couple minutes from each of you and kind of how does crypto get unstuck, as in like, you know, the narratives, the scam, they keep coming, they keep changing their face. Once it's RCO scams, and then, you know, there was but send me two Bitcoin and I'll send you 4 back kind of scams, and then, you know, there were some NFT scams, and now it's meme coin scam. What is the kind of 1 or 2 things we can keep in mind, we can be mindful of, in order to make this a more benevolent space, a more PVE beneficial space that is focused on growth and human optimization, and not, you know, we got to max extract this, bro.
So what's the question? What should we focus on?
Yeah, like how do we move?
What's the exit strategy here? What's the next step?
How do we move? How do we unclog it? How do we move from the extractive?
How do we unfuck the system
to the abundance phase?
You know, I've been even for like regular crypto projects, I've been championing for, you know, the standard or like the best case scenario in terms of vesting schedule is like a 1-year cliff and then a 4-year total vesting schedule. So 1-year cliff and then plus 3 years of vesting. And I've been preaching for a 10-year vesting schedule. Like, why? Like, absolutely no product has been able to build something really meaningful within 4 years. It's very, very difficult to get the product market fit in that time. So like, why should the VCs, myself included, the team, like, why should they be liquid? And obviously I've said this to several founders. They told me I'm insane. No one's going to accept this, and yada, yada. But I think
that is the answer. Like, because I, as somebody who's raising money, it's very difficult to come to a VC these days and tell them that you want to invest for 5 years. They're like, no.
Yes, because I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. It's a problem that is across essentially the industry. And as I said in Yitzi's podcast, like, play short-term stupid games, you'll win short-term stupid prizes. And, you know, don't expect the VC, the founder, or anyone to not sell their tokens if they're given to them like liquid. And yeah, as long as we continue to play short-term games and not align people, you know, to the future and like long-term, then, you know, we're going to keep on suffering for stuff like that. I'm completely ignoring like meme coins and all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah.
I think like one other thing, so like besides the, I think, transparency from projects on their like vesting schedules, on kind of their longer term plan, I think like regulatory alignment, because right now we don't really have any like compliance standards, or like there's really no rules. It's kind of the wild, wild west. And so, you know, not all regulation is bad. Like clarity and good regulations can actually really help the industry to like move in a positive direction. So I think like working with like lawmakers to help them understand like what is crypto. I mean, a lot of the things that we talk about, I think we use a lot of jargon, and like simplifying things or like making things more clear can help, I think, improve trust like between the regulators and the industry. So working with regulators, I think, to like create those standards, and like showing the community like, okay, these are the projects that actually worked, and like these are examples of things that have been built on crypto, specifically like that are created by crypto and like are unique to crypto, and like these work. So I think like showcasing those in a more public forum, like highlighting builders that are like actually doing things like that, and creating kind of more of that regulatory transparency would help us kind of shift that narrative.
Excellent. Mati, what are we doing to unplug?
Look, I mean, you can't. I tried posing this question in a way that's just very telling of the answer. You cannot. The genie doesn't come out of the bottle. Okay, like Pandora doesn't go back into the box, I think is the expression, right? Once something is fucked, doesn't get unfucked. So actually, what people like get on like pump fund and stuff like that, and they say, okay, well, pump fund is such a terrible thing to have introduced to the world. And actually, I don't believe that. I think that in the beginning it was toxic, you know, with the live stream. I'm glad that they were responsible enough to remove that video feed by themselves without having to be forced to do that. I think that they saw what they were doing the damage that they were doing. Now that they've actually taken it down, I think it's a beautiful thing, right? Actually, like the whole dream of capital formation in an instant can happen, and an idea can come in, and somebody can raise some amount of money, whether it's serious money or not serious money, and then they can later on understand what they're going to do with that money and how they're going to pivot to it, especially if somebody who's, honest and not trying to just, scam the next guy comes in and says, okay, well, I'm holding my coin, I believe in my coin, and then they start throwing out ideas. And then, they find their product market fit in that kind of way. In quantum economics, which is my builder group, basically already 4 people have launched their own tokens on pump.fun, and they were able to do this with very little technical experience or any sort of marketing budget or anything like that. They were able to just come in with zero barrier to entry and start formation of capital process. And I think that that's actually a beautiful thing, and I think that's going to be a net positive on humanity. The question is not how do we solve the technology, because the technology will solve itself out. The technology keeps getting better and better. Again, I started out by saying this is not a problem of technology, it's psychology. What we need to do is fix the psychology in the market. We need to get people, everyday people, especially people in the community and who are familiar with crypto, to stop trying to like gamble and stop trying to like make 100x overnight. And I don't know how you're going to do that, because like obviously everybody wants to make money. And if you find a person who's virtuous, and I think that a lot of us are on this panel, but there's just too many people out there who like they'll sell their own grandma for to make a quick buck. And if people aren't aware, then they're gonna lose their life savings. And so what we need to do is to figure out a way to kind of protect those people, but also preserve their personal freedoms. I believe AI is the solution for this, and this is what we're building with Cora. Is that you have the wallet that thinks and understands the purpose of your transaction, and then it can say, okay, well, look, we've looked into that wallet that you're sending money to. It looks like it's associated with a known scammer. Are you sure you want to send that? And or making sure that like the person understands fully how to do staking and what to look for in a staking protocol, audits the smart contract for them, and those type of things. I believe that's a solution. But ultimately, I believe that our what happens is, okay, so you can't unfuck something, but what does happen is 9 months later you have a beautiful baby, and everything. I believe that everything is for the good. Trump coin, Melania coin, Malay coin, that we're now calling Libra. These have brought this problem of KOL influencers that I described earlier to the forefront and to the knowledge of everybody. And so with the task force that Trump has now put together in the United States, Marissa's solution of regulation, of positive regulation, can now come into fruition, and they can understand the issue. And obviously there's very smart people helping them out and making sure that they're doing this in the correct way now. Obviously, Europe is kind of made a bigger quagmire out of. You don't shake your head at me. I'm MIFED certified in MiCA regulations. It's not even funny. Yeah, okay, you've built a beautiful stadium, but nobody's coming to watch your game. But the point is that I believe that now that all of this crap has happened, and now that we saw Gary Gensler, and now that the Earth is now in a place where we can go into a positive direction, and we understand like what are the problems that we need to solve. Okay, well, here's one, and I believe that it will be solved, and it will be solved within 9 months. So we have a lot to look forward to. Yeah, I know that people are out there. We had a brutal bear market followed by a brutal bull market. Apparently, there's no money printer feeding the system anymore, so the 100x's aren't going to come. and people are going to be able to understand how to do their research and how to invest in such a way that they're going to be able to appreciate from the value accrual that naturally happens in capital markets and weed out the chaff in order to really invest in the things that matter and the things that have a potential of growing over time. And therefore people can see, okay, look, if you're getting 20 or 30% a year, you're still beating Wall Street by double or triple. So
amen.
I think that's where we're headed, and that's where we're going to go eventually. And people are going to say, oh, meme coin, that's funny. Maybe I'll put $5 on it because it's funny and I want to hold it in my wallet, but I don't think so as much anymore, except for Dogecoin, which Dogecoin is awesome. And it's literally the only meme coin that has managed to literally like occupy a government agency. So that's pretty cool. But other than that, I think that that people are going to get smarter. The technology is going to get smarter. The regulation is going to get smarter. It's all uphill from here.
Yeah, I want to end off with the kind of 1 minute. There's 3 things that I think that crypto can do right now to unclog itself. Number one is I'm going to use it like I'm going to use it like as a catchphrase, and that's like find morality. Find some sort of check your own morality. Find your own source of am I doing good or not in the world? Starts with you. I think number one. Number 2 is self-regulation. It's very clearly that regulation is going to be very lax from the regulators, from the US government, whatever. And even if they are strict, the regulators are usually reactive. They don't react in real time. They're only regulating after the fact. So crypto needs a set of standards with real accountability and ramification and consequences if you do something bad. Right, it can't just be left up to the social layer. It can't just be left up to people's own vibes and people's own judgment. There needs to be real accountability, because otherwise anarchy will just lead to a state of power where the poor, where the oppressed are getting rugged by the elites, and we've just gone back to what we try to leave behind with TradFi. And number 3 is come back to Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the only coin that isn't that is very clearly not an extractive exercise. Bitcoin is the only coin where the dev hasn't sold a cent, at least not that we know of. Whereas every other coin, devs are selling every single day. Bitcoin is a different breed altogether. So I think this crime season is going to make a lot more Bitcoin maxis. And those 3, I think, are what to keep in mind. Number 1, check your own morality. Number 2 is having some self-regulation with real bite, consequences, accountability built into our industry. And number 3 would be Bitcoin. Come back to Bitcoin. Thank you guys for coming. We will see you soon in the future episode. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. I don't believe there's a guy Israeli guy with a puppet that is, I have the same like overall in my puppet. So
I thought that was your puppet. I thought it was you commenting.
No, I've got an autismo hat, so it's very different to the beanie over here. You got to be a fun prick. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Great to have not scammers on for once, and thanks everybody for watching.
Stop having scammers, man.
No, they're fun, man.
We builders.
Bully them.
Real builders.
I have great fun with the scammers, man.